today we're talking about the Pandora Papers. The investigation is based on 14 leaks, on leaks from 14 global financial service companies, and has about nearly 12 million documents that have been sifted through. This has led to shockwaves around the world. There are former heads of states, celebrities from across the globe who make it to the list of people who have used the services of these offshore entities, of these companies to, it seems like it, prima facie stash away their wealth in a way where they would evade taxes. There are 380 people at least of Indian nationality on it who have been named. Today the names include Sachin Tendulkar, Shakira has made it to that list, the King of Jordan, Czech Prime Minister, Anil Ambani, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw has been named in the papers. So there is a wide variety of people who have found themselves in the list. Close aides of Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan have also been named in the list. What really is the implication of what we're seeing right now, and why is it important? To speak on this, I'm joined now by B.M Singh, former chairman of the CBDT, T.P Ostwal, tax expert, and Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate of Supreme Court of India. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for speaking with us. Mr. Singh, I'm going to come to you first because the Indian government has already responded. They have set up an investigative team and a multi-agency investigative team under the aegis of the CBDT. And something similar had taken place when the Panama Papers came out. There was quite a rich haul of evaded tax from there. Do you expect the same to follow? What will the CBDT now have to do next?
Well, that depends on the kind of information they get. If there's some solid evidence, they'll have to follow up on it. And it's good that they've made the chairman of CBDT as the head of as the chairman of the multi-agency setup, which includes ED and RBI and FIU, because when they all coordinate their efforts and they see what is required to be followed up, then proper investigation can be done. But again and again, I'll tell you that it all depends on the kind of evidence which comes to their table. And we hope that the follow-up is absolutely to the point, without any let-up. And in the modern world, these type of leaks, these type of informations are going to come again and again. After the Panama Papers, we had the Pandora investigation. And we hope that, you see, then we forget about it after a couple of days, after a couple of months, that such a leak occurred and what has happened to that. And like, you don't hear much about the Panama Papers now. We hope something comes out of it.
No, I mean, today you have a statement from the Finance Ministry saying that they, got undisclosed credits of 20,000 crores approximately that were detected in the investigations carried out in the Panama and Paradise Papers. So in that case, something did come out of it. There was a tangible gain. But this whole thing raises so many questions. Mr. T.P Ostwal, let me come to you. The question is also of what is in the frame of legal, what is in the frame of illegal, and are these kind of methods to evade tax or to protect assets from creditors by high net worth individuals or family trusts used very often? Are you surprised by anything that you're reading today?
Nothing is surprising. These all routine things people officially also create and unofficially also. For example, we had in the last Panama leak paper or Mosaic Fonseca's leak papers, we had received the name of Harish Salve. And Mr. Salve clarified very clearly, these are all his official deposits made in through LRS scheme. So the question is, similar was the case with Sachin Tendulkar. So therefore, I believe giving undue publicity and trial by the newspaper is not a correct way. Let the CBDT investigate. And if the names whose names have appeared, if they clarify that this is a matter of fact that I have deposited my money from taking money from India through a LRS scheme from the Reserve Bank of India, there is no question of it being leak or illegal. Government of India permits $250,000 per person to be invested abroad. And over a period of time, suppose it is 8 years, $2 million will come up, will be get accumulated. And if it is a family of 4, then it will be in multiple number of $1 million. And therefore, out of that money, if they have bought some properties, if they have created all other assets, which is legitimate. For example, buying a property abroad also is permitted by an individual if it comes within the $250,000. Or if it is $1 million, then 4 individuals in the family put together can buy a property in 4 different names together jointly, and that is also permitted. So therefore, one cannot just make out immediately what has happened, what is correct and what is not correct. Let investigating agency take in the due course of time, make an investigation and find out. And in fact, the only problem which I see here is that investigating authorities, when they get a power like this, they jump on action and quickly start investigating and harassing the taxpayer. That should not happen. If this is my legitimate money I have invested abroad, I should be dealt with accordingly. So at the first response from the taxpayer, if it is received, look it carefully, and then yes, government has a right to, and there is nothing wrong in investigating. If people have got ill-gotten money stashed abroad, that must be caught. And this is a national cause, and I would support that. And therefore, one should not take immediately a clue that all of a sudden thing will happen.
No, but a very important point that T.P Ostwal has made. Okay, no, in fact, this is going to dominate the headlines for the next few days because they are going to release the information in phases like they did with Panama Papers. There's obviously a huge amount of information, and there is a whole group of journalists that are sifting through it, have been working on it, will be putting out that information. But Sanjay Hegde, I want to come to you on the realm of what's legal, what's illegal. So, is the fact that you use this kind of an entity illegal in itself? Where would the illegality lie? What would investigators have to look for?
See, basically, as Mr. Ostwal pointed out, there may be legitimate ways where you have transferred money and acquired property, but those would not normally reflect in your tax returns. Now, after 2015, the government has passed a law relating to overseas assets which have not been disclosed. So everything will turn on, did you disclose this particular sum or this particular asset in your tax returns? What seems to have happened here is that there has been a trove of data collected from many of these law firms and other entities which help the ultra wealthy handle their assets and park it in various tax havens. So this is a good starting point of the investigation, but I do hope that the investigation is thorough. I heard the gentleman say that the CBDT chairman being the chairman overall is a good thing. Yes, you have high officials, but ultimately it will be the actual investigating team, if they are young, hungry, and willing to take this as a starting point, sift through the information as it comes out, and then correlate it with the tax returns of the individuals concerned, which they already have, then send questionnaires. That's the way to go forward on this.
Yeah. So, no, Mr. Singh, just to answer to the point, Mr. Ostwal also raised that how can we ensure there won't be harassment? Is the actual act of having an offshore entity going to be deemed as illegal in itself? So, what are the things that will have to be kept in mind as this investigation unfolds?
Yes, you're right. Harassment should be avoided at all costs. And there's bound to be some officers who get too enthusiastic and always say that you are guilty unless you are proven not guilty. But as my fellow panelists say, the rule of law has to be observed. The quality of evidence will have to be seen, and only then will they have to take action. Right now, we don't know whether it was a legal transfer of money from India outside, or whether this was not within their books, it was outside the books, whether they had taken permission from RBI and send the money abroad. But all that will have to come out, and let us not just paint everybody black just because the names come in that they have sent money outside. And the media will have to act in a very responsible way of disclosing the information as it is given out, because everybody is not guilty. Everybody has not done the illegal thing. There's a lot of money being transferred from one country to the other. And the set of journalists who have come out with these investigations are not always correct in observing that there has been some illegality. And for example, you see.
Yeah, but to be fair, I know the media gets hauled up a lot. And let me say this, I know the media gets hauled up a lot, but the fact is it's because of journalistic work like this. It's because of leaks like the Panama Papers. Like I mentioned, the Indian government got 20,000 crore rupees. Huge changes took place in many countries of the world, and it's because of the work that the media puts in and journalists put in that you have this information. So, I mean, in that sense, credit goes there as well.
Tamanna, I have slight different point of view. Government has been claiming huge money has been slashed abroad, whereas they have got only taxes to the extent of, as you are saying, 20,000 crore, which is peanut, nothing. And whereas how much amount of time and efforts we are wasting on that subject. We set up the commission, we set up the inquiries, and we have got so much of a paper, and virtually so many people were raided. Investigation was carried out. Nights and nights were spent by the investigating agencies at the taxpayers' houses and their residences. But ultimately, what is 20,000 crore in a population of 1 crore 30 lakhs people, 130 crore people, where of course we have got only 6 crore taxpayers who are paying taxes, 99% of the tax of the country. And therefore, I believe one has to look, as Mr. Singh rightly said, one has to make a judicious decision before calling upon a taxpayer to find out, tally, as Mr. Hegde also said, that look at the tax return filed by those individuals, and if the amounts have been disclosed in the returns of income, don't harass, just close the files absolutely. And yes, wherever the disclosures have not taken place, go into the details. We are all interested in doing that, because the government, India cannot afford to lose a single penny of tax. We are a country requiring funds, and particularly in a COVID period, we need more money.
I mean, look, no, obviously, I mean, this goes without saying that you can't be called guilty before an investigation. A fair and free investigation must take place. That goes without saying. That, of course, is the basis from where we're starting. But I think today, while we wait for more information to come out, we need to ask why there is still a system which allows for these loopholes, and what are the implications of this. Mr. Hegde, for example, according to these reports, there are defaulters who have said they are bankrupt in the court of one country, but seem to have assets in other countries. There is a report of a huge defaulter who has used the money in these accounts to buy an aircraft. So you have these cases as well. Like, we don't want to paint everyone as guilty before an investigation. I don't think we can give everyone a clean chit either.
Absolutely not. And that is why you need a fair but a thorough investigation. As Mr. Ostwal said, we need every bit of the tax dollar that we can get for this country. 300 odd names have come out. They have come out virtually by the journalists going through the data. Right now, we have a vast mass of undigested data. What really requires to be done is to not only sift through the data, but to actually work through the data to build up your case as well, so that you can maximize your recovery. It is very, Mr. Singh said something about ultimately it has to come to somebody's desk. Yes, but before it goes to somebody's desk, everything should be collated so that as and when the demand is made, there is no escape.
At this stage, let me just interrupt, if I may. This entire set of investments abroad or sending money abroad has been done in the veil of corporate entities. And we have to see to what extent this veil of corporate entity has been pierced by the investigative journalists, and to what extent were they able to get enough evidence to nail the actual person or corporation which sent the money abroad.
Absolutely. This is something we need to watch very, very carefully over the days to come. But important to remember that tax evasion to the tune of a large amount does hurt somewhere. It's not necessarily a victimless crime. One would think, so what, that, those who are rich want to evade tax, who likes to pay tax. But a lack of those taxes means a government doesn't have the funds it needs to take care of the most needy, the most vulnerable and the most poorest among us. And think about this. If all of us who pay the full extent of our taxes have to do it, then why shouldn't everyone? Well, on that note, I want to thank all of you for joining us on the first discussion this evening.